Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Adam Nitti Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Nitti. Exciting day today because this is the recording of episode 1 of this new series. And who better to have for episode 1 than my longtime friend and musical cohort, Mr. Tom Hemby, who also hails from Nashville. We've done so much together. It's been amazing. And you know, I don't use these terms lightly. It's been an honor to make music with you. You are a real Nashville musical legend. I mean, your biography credits list. I mean, it reads. It probably would cover all the square footage of my house, and you play. You play electric guitar. You play all the guitars. You play electric guitar. You play, I believe you play mandolin and steel. Is there anything you don't play? Yeah? Do you play banjo?
Yes, a little bit.
I know nobody wants to admit it, but that's okay. That's all right. But this is timely, us meeting for so many reasons. Number one, you've got a brand new album coming out, and
yes,
I get to say that I played on this. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. And
tell us about it.
Do so. Yeah.
Please tell us about the history of this, you know, the making of this album, and because this is, as far as I know, this is your next big thing to put out there, right?
Yes. Well, as you were a part of this from the get-go, this started a few years back when we were doing recording workshops at Sweetwater Sound, and our friend and engineer there, Mark Hornsby, had us to come up for these 3-day events where people would pay to watch a recording process. So we would go there, record a song, and or maybe two, and during that process, all these clients were paying to observe, to see how drums are mic'd, how you mic an amp, how things are set up, how you get it going. Then there's the process of recording, you know, actually recording the song. And then after that, they would stay over the next day, and there would be a kind of a rough mix done to show them the mixing process and that whole thing. But so what happened over a period of time, as we were doing these workshops, we ended up with enough songs to put a project together. So that's how that whole thing evolved. And, you know, I had written many of the tunes, but as you, as well as Mike Whittaker, contributed to the composition process as well. And I love the way this came out. It's I don't want to say surprising, but in a way it is. It's just come out so great, you know. And given the circumstances how it was done, you know, just doing a workshop and just like we had to come up with something. But I really tried to just come up with something great, just in case something like this did happen, which it did. So yeah. So here we have a great project in the can, and it was such an honor having you be the bass player on this. I mean, you're good Lord.
Man. I'm so thrilled and excited about this coming out. And you know, as you just kind of covered, we took these recording workshop things, which were, I guess, for lack of a better description, you know, they were educational events for these aspiring, you know, engineers and all. And they got to really witness, I guess, and be a part of, you know, real recording session where we were literally putting these tunes together. And it took away that typical sort of degree of separation, you know, that you might have when you listen to an album. You don't necessarily know what happened behind the scenes, but not only did these people get to see the writing and refining process, but they also got the engineering and technical side of it as well, because they were literally learning how this was being engineered from beginning to end. And the thing, I don't know if you agree, but like, to me, I almost had the expectation when we first started doing this that it was going to feel kind of stale, because I didn't expect a negative result, but I thought in terms of it being in that educational setting, we might be maybe stifled a little bit by having to sort of follow the program, but it wasn't like that at all. They really did just kind of sit back and observe, and it was awesome really we got to do the real creative process, didn't we?
We did. Actually, we did. And you know, I would agree with you as far as expectation. You know, you think, given the situation, it could end up being just kind of a stable environment, but it was actually quite exciting. So a lot of people asked a lot of questions, and I feel like, you know, what we were able to put down, it might have helped having that audience there just to get, you know, that feedback of having real people in the room watching what you're doing. So it was almost like you recorded a live concert. Yeah,
it's funny, you know, we've had a chance to cultivate real friendships throughout the years, you know, with this band, which is an added blessing. And so that kind of, for me anyways, that took away a lot of the red light phobia. Whereas, you know, sometimes you go in with people, and I mean, let's face it, your tunes are not easy tunes to play. There's a level of sophistication, and you know, I think they're fun to listen to, but to actually go in and record this stuff cold is you know, not necessarily a little menial task, but you know, people out there listening and watching, it's like this was one of those situations. Tom brings charts. You know, we've got charts in front of us. It's one of those things where we didn't do a bunch of rehearsals before the sessions. You drove there with your gear, and we flew in, and then, you know, you put the charts out, and we're literally just trying to work this stuff out. And again, you know, it's a testament to, I think, that like the chemistry, and just sometimes getting a good take is all about just being able to finally relax, and in spite of that studio environment being different from maybe some of the Nashville, you know, places that we record, and being in the studio recording workshop setting, again, I harken back to, I can't believe how comfortable those sessions felt, and it's so fun looking back.
And I certainly think that a lot of that is attributed to the fact that this core group of musicians, yourself and myself, and Mike Whittaker on keys, who's just phenomenal, and Mark Douthit, amazing sax player, plus Keith Carlock on drums. My gosh, yeah, we have played together so much through the years. So there's an automatic kind of comfort factor there that seemed to really help. You know, when you work together with, as you well know, we all work together so much, we kind of know what the other guy's thinking, and when we're laying stuff down, and what he might be going for, and so yeah, there's definitely a comfort factor there that played a huge role in how this came out, I do believe. So
yeah, when you as a guitar player, my gosh, I don't know, who knows how many thousands of sessions you've played in your professional career, but the Sweetwater Studio as a whole, those of you that don't know out there, Sweetwater is easily one of the top 2 or 3 music vendors in the world at this point, right? I mean, they do unbelievable amounts of sales and turning inventory over, but they have built an actual pro recording studio in their main facility in Fort Wayne. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, you've played in more studios than I have. Like, when you first started working at that studio, how does it compare, like, to some of these other environments? Is it a different vibe because it is under the roof of this giant of you know, music equipment sales, or does it feel just like a pro studio inside just another building? Like, what's the vibe that you got from there?
Well, first of all, just to get out of town is always kind of an exciting thing. Just to go someplace different, someplace kind of exciting and new, and the studio itself, I mean, it's state of the art. Yeah. And talk about access to any kind of gear that you need, being right there in the music store facility of Sweetwater. You know, you have access to everything in the world that you would need for sessions, and yeah, it's just it was just kind of exciting to be in someplace different rather than the norm of places that I've worked in Nashville through the years, and just something a little fresh about getting away and tackling something at a different place. So
yeah. What's your favorite studio, or what's your favorite place to record? Do you have a favorite?
I've had many favorite, and most of them are gone in Nashville now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. One of my favorite places that used to be in this area was the Bennett House down in Franklin.
Oh, yeah. I remember that place.
That it just, those rooms in the house just, they just yielded such great drum sounds.
Yeah.
And that was definitely one of my faves. It's been gone for many years now, but as well as some others that on Music Row that have just legendary places that are just now gone, you know. So the Tracking Room is another great place that recently closed. I say it's probably been about a year or so now. So
yeah,
but there's Emerald was another great studio I loved working, and so many places that are just, you know, gone now.
Yeah,
real estate history. So
man, it's, gosh, you know, you talk about how the landscape has changed so much. I mean, Music Row is just it's kind of a shadow of what it was, right? I mean, it's just so different now.
They call it the Row anymore, but yeah. There's so much history that's just gone now. It's a shame. It's
it really is. It's been, you know, it's funny because, well, not funny, but it's interesting because even prior to the you know, the wonderful changes made by the virus, you know, it was kind of already moving in a direction that was diminishing the presence, right, of a lot of those studios.
Most definitely. Just due to the state of the recording industry, you know, regarding technology, where so many people now have home studios, and it really cut into mid-sized studios that, you know, people just didn't need to be there anymore. You're doing so much stuff at their home, and the ones that survived the longest were the huge studios that you have to accommodate string players and stuff. So,
right.
But yeah, I think just due to, like I said, technology, as far as being able to have something on your laptop you can record, that with so many virtual plugins and stuff that used to take millions of dollars to accomplish that. So
yeah,
I'm not surprised. I remember many years ago, when at the beginning of this whole turn of the industry, I remember being in this one studio. They had a big new Focusrite console. I think it was seriously like, it might have been over $1 million or so. And then 9 months later, I ended up being back in the studio one night. This place was called The Mill. And I remember being back in the studio one night for some kind of rehearsal. And there, that console, that beautiful console that sounds so fantastic, it was just unplugged and shoved over in the corner. And there's a Pro Tools rig, you know. So,
wow, that really puts things into perspective. I have such a love-hate relationship with technology and music, you know, and I know you can relate to this. The way music is made now is completely different than it was decades ago. You know, it's easy for me to get kind of like grumpy about it, you know, and think about, well, you know, back in the day you had to, you know, your performances had to be solid because, you know, you weren't punching in everything, doing millions of takes. You were doing, you know, you were trying to get it as good as you could. Performances needed to be solid. You wanted to avoid, you know, these impossible, you know, punches and stuff like that now are made so easy just by, you know, digital workstations and things like that. But one of the things that I love about technology is that some of the pitfalls that we used to run into in the analog world, like those don't even exist anymore from like a technical standpoint, dealing with things like removing like pops and clicks from tracks, you know, that now you can do so easily with the plugin that you could never get rid of before without retracking something. Like there's little, tools like that are amazing. But I think just what bums me out a little bit, if I'm being honest, is the idea of now just so much music is made by just piecing things together, and like an erector set or Legos, like, oh, let me put this here, and there's not as much. I know there's exceptions, but on the whole, there's not as much continuity and flow, in my opinion.
And that's what I think the beauty about our record, what we did in Sweetwater. It was, we're all working there together, catching that live thing of guys playing off of each other with ideas and stuff. And I think we actually pulled it off, what we need to do to give it a great live feel for this project. So instead of sounding that was, that you did your part, passed it over to somebody else, and somebody else passed, we were in the room together, we did it, and it just has this wonderful live feel to it.
As much as I have taken advantage of remote recording over the years for so much of what I've done, and you cannot argue the convenience of it, you would think on the surface that getting a bunch of people together in the room might take longer to hash things out than having just a part doing your thing and moving on. But it really is amazing, isn't it, how when there's a creative flow happening, I feel like it ultimately saves time, in the long run, because you kind of hash through things interactively all at the same time, and then it gets sussed out without having to go through like little individual production phases, right?
Exactly. Well, I know that when I'm tracking live with a group, I get my stuff done a lot quicker than I do when I'm sitting here at home. Next thing you know, I'll sit there and start scoping it to death, and maybe scoping the life out of it. I have to try to be careful not to do that, and you do get it done quicker. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Sometimes I think you're like me in that you just stated it, like sometimes you're overanalyzing what you did, especially when you're working on your own stuff. You can produce yourself to death, and sometimes, I've taken the life out of my performances before on recordings from just going down a rabbit hole, and that's not a good thing.
Oh, sure.
But that what playing in a room does is sometimes it forces you to go ahead and accept what little flaws may have been there, or what little nuances or anomalies that end up adding to the quality of the performance, right? It's like,
right.
You wouldn't have left it there otherwise if you were just going down the rabbit hole, but because it got left there, it got left alone the way maybe it should have been,
Sure. Well, I think that's the beauty of regarding the character of records that were done years ago. Something might have been slightly out of tune, but it just kind of gave it a thing, or maybe the tempo just kind of moved up and down a little bit and made it breathe. So I think there's a lot of beauty in just the natural feel of the human factor. So sometimes it just gets so stiff that you just want to, I don't know.
You want to turn it off.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I want to get into a little bit of nerdy stuff with you, if you don't mind, because I am, not only do you play like no one else, and you are incredible on so many levels and so many different styles, but I consider you, I've got this short list, and you're in this list of what I call tone masters. When it comes to guitar sounds and tracks that you play, your tones are amazing. They're always, they're like, they all sound like they should be reference tones for music libraries, in today's world. But man, I am so curious to know, without sounding, too nerdy, like from where does that come from? And is that a gear thing, or is that an organic feel thing you build over time. Like, how do you craft guitar tones the way you do? Because not everybody has this quality. Where does that come from?
I think it's a bit of a gear thing, but it's way more of an ear thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know how to describe it. There's just sounds that I hear in my head that I want to go for. And I'll sit there and tweak till I get it. And then after a period of time, you learn quickly how to arrive at those tones. So after maybe spending hours, of a day or something trying to find a particular tone, then once you got it dialed in, you know what to do the next time. So, but yeah, I mean, I've always been fascinated by great guitar tones. That was one thing early on when I was a kid learning to play guitar. I wasn't really starting out. I wasn't really a rock guy. I did not like the rock tones I was hearing at that period of time, when I was a kid, a lot of the twangy rock stuff. And I was really fascinated by some of the country players, guys like Grady Martin, who had these nice, big, thick, rich tones. And then there was the first time that I actually heard a rock and roll guitar that I'm going, what is that? And I want to know how to get that. It was the first time I ever heard Terry Kath play with Chicago.
Wow, yeah.
Before that guitar tone to me to this day is still primo. Yeah. I mean, I gauge everything against that in a rock tone. So just thick, he plays so fluid too. It was a wonderful thing. It instantly grabbed my ear and it instantly changed my focus about what I wanted to do musically. And. But as a kid, I grew up, in southern Missouri and the Ozarks. A lot of country music was prevalent there. The first time I really when I really became infatuated with guitars, when I heard Chet Atkins play, because I heard him play, and I thought it was two guitar players because I'm hearing a rhythm thing going on, I'm hearing the melody, and I'm like, when I found out it was one guy, I just became totally fascinated, almost obsessed with learning how to do that. So early on, I grew up, playing guitar as a fingerstyle guitar player, which I'm so glad I did. It has been such a beneficial thing to me through the years of adapting my own style to pop and rock stuff and R&B. Even to this day, when I'm playing a rhythm electric guitar, a lot of times, unless I'm just doing like mute picking kind of things, single string stuff, when I'm strumming guitar, playing funk guitar, I'm not using a pick. I'm using the back of my nails. I get a tighter, kind of thicker sound, and even snappier sometimes than you can get with a pick. Now, sometimes just the pick thing you want for that particular tone. But when I'm doing funk rhythm stuff, I'm using my fingers like a flamenco player or something.
Yeah. That's great.